Hello, this is Greg Smalley with Pod 366, a weird movies podcast. And I'm joined today, as I often am, by intrepid co-host Giles Edwards
Hello.
in a pink bow tie. And our guest today is GB Hajim, director of Strange Frame, Love and Sax, and the upcoming The Mermaids Lament. And GB is joining us from Hawaii.
Aloha, you guys. Thanks for having me.
Uh, are you on Maui or?
I'm on the Big Island.
Oh.
It's it's the island of superlatives.
The island.
We have the erupting volcano and everything here.
Oh, is the volcano still active? Yeah.
Yeah, it's been basically active for 35 years. We've had a couple pauses, but pretty much.
But not erupting at the moment.
There is activity, lava activity. You can see it right now, but there is not a flow.
Okay.
Oh.
So we won't be interrupted. Let's see if we can get to start the rundown of today's weird movie news. And we'll go through this as quickly as we can. Do you guys know what I've got a photo of here?
Well, there's a telltale.
Looks like Khan.
Yeah.
It's Cannes, because it's Cannes just announced their lineup. It's time for Cannes Film Festival in France that very rarely shows weird films, and yet a couple of years ago gave their big award, the Palme d'Or, to Titane, which was a very weird film.
Oh, yes.
You never know. I looked at the schedule and did not see anything that looked specifically weird. There are big movies coming from Martin Scorsese and Wes Anderson, and Wim Wenders has a 3D documentary there, but nothing looks especially weird. Lots of period pieces. There's a new Pixar movie and a new Indiana Jones, but there are rumors that Yorgos Lanthimos has a movie, Poor Things, that is about a woman who gets a fetus's brain implanted in hers.
Oh.
That could be a surprise addition at the last minute. Also, before I ask you guys if you have any thoughts, along with Cannes Film Festival, something called Directors Fortnight runs at the same time, which is an alternate that often has stranger films than Cannes will be willing to do. And they have a movie from Michel Gondry debuting that we have no details about, but that could be weird. And one from Bertrand Mandico that is almost certain to be weird. I've seen it under two names. One is She is Conan, and one is Conan, ANN.
Oh, yeah.
And it's
okay.
Casting the muscle-bound guy played by Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Sword and Sorcery movies, but he's cast as several different women in the movie over various periods of time. So any of that stuff may be coming down the line. Obviously, nobody's going to be out at Cannes. I don't think anybody in our audience is going to be out at Cannes right now, but that stuff will come down the line. Did you guys take a look at the lineup and see anything that I missed that looked interesting?
You never know because you can't see the film. All I could find was previous work by Weston Razzulli and Joanna Arno. Both of them have done some kind of strange stuff previously. If you look at Weston Razzulli's IG, he's got some really weird stuff, but I have no idea his movie Riddle of Fire, whether it will be qualifying as something that pushes any kind of envelope. And the same goes with Joanna Arno. She has something called The Feeling That the Time for Doing Something Has Passed. Again, cannot see what that film would be like, but I did find a film, Bad at Dancing, by her, and it's free on Vimeo. And it has a lot of dialogue scenes while she is sitting in a room where her roommate is fucking her boyfriend at the same time, and they're just having like a casual conversation while her roommate's fucking her boyfriend. So she has the potential for strange, but we won't know until we actually see the film.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say nothing to really add there. Sifting through even the Fortnite listing, all looks very, shall we say, reliably independent in tone and style, at least from the blurbs presented there.
Yeah.
Or I guess reliably indie might be a better way to phrase that.
Yeah, you don't get a lot of detail on these films. Some of them have a lot of some of them they keep under wraps. So those will be stuff we'll be taking a look at down the line, hopefully. This is just a reminder to people. We've talked about this film before. The anticipation is high among our audience for this. Beau Is Afraid with Joaquin Phoenix, directed by Ari Aster. Black comedy, anxiety comedy, nightmare. Supposedly gets very weird. Out in theaters now. I'm going to see it after I finish the podcast. Actually tonight. 3 hours long.
Boy.
Getting device used, which is sometimes very good.
Well, how long was Hereditary, if I can remind me? Because Midsummer was definitely long, and then he made it longer.
Yeah, he has a tendency to go long, and usually studio cuts it. They did not this time. Heredity was around in the 2 hour range.
Oh.
But we're just reminding audiences. You have anything else to say about that, or we'll move to the next reminder?
Well, I loved in the trailer. I loved that they were using some cutout style animation in some of the dream sequences. I'm a big fan of that. Given my experience with Strange Frame, I was really surprised that there wasn't any punchy dialogue at all in the trailer. Usually, trailer is where you show off your best lines, which are grabbing, and it seemed very banal. And maybe that's his point of like contrasting the surreality with just kind of banal kind of discourse. But that didn't grab me, and that like pretty much shatters my hopes because I'm a big fan of really good dialogue. So.
Well, I will keep an eye on that tonight, in a few hours when I go see it. This one, also do not expect it to be weird at all from the trailer, but there are a lot of fans of the franchise. There was some weirdness in the franchise when Sam Raimi was helming it. It's Evil Dead Rise, second rebooted sequel. I don't think it has much to do with the first reboot. It's going to be a sort of female family-centered version of Evil Dead with, I think, the mom becoming a zombie.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's getting very good reviews.
Okay.
So people will probably want to check that out. Any comments, guys?
I wish him luck. I watched the trailer and was kind of bored, and by the end was reminded that Alfred Hitchcock has a lot to answer for when it comes to string cues for horror movies. Because, man, I've had enough of those.
I feel like they're just pushing the money button because everything in the trailer seemed like it'd been done before. I mean, the lighting seemed so just regular. There wasn't anything invented about the way that they colored the movie. It was just like, wow, I'm watching an episode of anything that's on Netflix kind of thing. Yeah, it didn't excite me at all.
Okay. Well, don't know if I'll see it or not. Almost certainly won't report on it for the site, but at any rate, this is a little odd thing that popped up at the last minute on my radar, which is G Kids is doing a live broadcast of a live Tokyo stage version of Spirited Away. It's like April 23rd, 25th, 27th, and May 1st. You can find the actual dates on our website, but it's I don't know about the idea of plays on the big screen. It kind of goes against the idea of the cinematic form in some sense. Although it's if you got to see a play, go see a play. If you're going to see a movie, go see a movie. Not a huge fan of the idea of film plays, but the sets and stuff look interesting for this. Do you guys have any thoughts on that one?
I think it can't help but we be weird, but it is definitely a press on the money button. On the other hand, I mean, I concur that seeing a play, you might as well see a play, not seeing it on screen. But you have to understand, I mean, I live on a big island. We're very rural. We're never going to have an opportunity to see something like this unless we go to the screen. And I'm sure a lot of other people are in that situation, as well as the financial. You know, last time I went to a Broadway play where, you know, it was, I think, in the realm of $150 to $250 for a ticket. You know, most people just can't afford that. You know, so there's a way create accessibility, but it definitely G Kids is pressing the money button on it. I still might see it because I'm a fan.
Yeah. I was skeptical because I only actually saw this movie for the first time 1 or 2 years ago. And as for the translation onto a stage in the first place, I started very skeptical. Then I saw some of the stills of the puppets and kept my skepticism, but there was a lot less of it, I suppose. So this is the kind of thing where I can imagine I'd think is like really great if I saw it in person. But not having the opportunity to do that, I'm not going to, you know, try and watch a stage representation on screen living up to the original animation.
Well, fair enough. People who want to see it, you know, don't get to see theater. You can go see it on the big screen. You got 4 possibilities, 2 different actresses. I don't have a recommendation on which one, but let's move along. So I've in the past complained that they were always putting out these crappy movies on 4K UHD discs. And when are they going to put out the real good movies? And so Criterion apparently listened to me, and they are putting out a 4K UHD of The Seventh Seal. No new material on it. It's just the upgrade to the new format. I don't have, can't play the new format, so I won't be getting this, but I do love The Seventh Seal, and it's one of those classics that I think people, you know, tend to think is going to be really stuffy and boring, and then watch it, they realize no, it's much livelier than its reputation and Bergman's reputation suggests.
Yeah, well, I mean, all the discussion of it and like clips of it focus on, the, you know, heady philosophical melodramatic elements, which of course are there and important and very, very, very well done. But yes, I remember when I first watched it in my late teens, I finally got around to it, not thinking, okay, but then, found, oh, this still feels like alive as a movie.
It still has some edgy moments. I mean, it's surprising that something done back in the 50s could have dialogue that says, oh, wow, I can't believe that they said that, you know, kind of thing. But one of the things that when I was watching and rewatching it last night, it struck me. I was just like, what does this remind me of? What does this remind me of? Did you guys watch Station 11 or read the books? Well, I recommend Station 11. And it turned out like, there was a lot of references to the Seventh Seal in Station 11, the series. And I was very, very struck by the similarities and how much they borrowed from this movie.
Okay.
Good source to borrow from.
Yeah. Also Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. So yeah, people who want to check that out will know they want to check it out for sure. Especially
is Bill and Ted's in 4K
yet? Probably. This is a movie called For the Plasma, which is not about vampires, I don't think. It's hard to find much information about it. Actually, I had it on my list to cover in a previous week, and for some reason, I skipped it. It's a little movie and a little indie movie being released by Vinegar Syndrome about people who work as 2 women that work as fire station monitors, and somehow they determine a way to determine patterns in the stock market from watching footage of forest fires or something like that. And it all the little comments and things you see from people who've seen it say it's extremely weird. Hard to get a sense from the trailer. The trailer has a especially weird little feature that the music plays and drowns out most of the dialogue.
It was like a dance exercise Muzak bit as the basically foreground of the sound, and it's mostly a therapist, I'm guessing, who's saying things, but you really have to, you know, focus on, his particular sounds. Good. Yeah, the trailer was absolutely, I found it very compelling because like I haven't really seen, well, excuse me, let me rephrase. I haven't really heard a trailer ever pursue that sonic pathway before. And
Yeah, I actually watched the whole thing.
Oh, great. What do you think? Tell us.
Well, the soundtrack is definitely interesting. I definitely give a big thumbs up to the soundtrack. It seemed like it would be like what Wes Anderson was doing in film school. That it has a lot of the compositional kind of and vibe of a Wes Anderson film. It doesn't have the high level of craft that he's gotten to. I don't remember what he was doing early on. I should have looked at what he was doing early on. That there's a definite problem with lighting and sound, and I see what they're doing. It very much like okay, we want to fit in that genre of film. I didn't find it very compelling. I didn't find that the actors were very engaging. But then again, Wes Anderson really has to bring it for me to like his movies, because just his stylistic choices are not enough to grab me. I do like some of his films, but some of them I just pass on. And so if there's a Wes Anderson fan out there, they will definitely like this.
Especially if you're a fan of Bottle Rocket. That was his first one where I think he was rougher around the edges, because I'd say he pretty much found his groove with Rushmore.
Okay, so again, that you're right. Somebody that was a fan from the beginning probably would like this. Otherwise, yeah, it's got a lot of slow parts to it, and a lot of just odd for odd's sake kind of things, which is okay. But I don't know. It was really slow. I did skip a few like long moving shots, like that the scenes in Lord of the Rings where they're just going across the big landscapes. It's the same thing, but it's a yard in Maine. So
Oh well, this movie is 10 years old.
Yeah, it's just now getting released on Blu-ray and DVD. I would, people's, sometimes you got to be in the mood, or your opinion can differ just because your stylistic takes. I imagine I'll end up seeing this, maybe not. So I'm hoping I have a better experience than GB did. That does it for the new releases. So the rest of the time we can talk to our guest and be polite. But GB, you have a new movie.
yes.
Out, and so I'm going to put up the poster right now, and we have some stills also to share later. First off, what's the do we have any play dates coming up to inform people of?
We just got an email yesterday for our world premiere, but because we were in early selection in that festival, we're not allowed to announce yet, because they're still taking submissions. But it's very flattering to be selected this early on in their decision-making process. So pretty stoked about that. We'll be in festivals in the summer. That's all I can say at this point.
Okay, I think I have. All right, I think I might be able to make a guess, but I won't.
Please don't. They said keep it confidential. We get still people applying for this festival. So yeah. So we're excited. We have a debut now.
Now it's called Mermaids Lament, not The Mermaids Lament, which I had thought it was called. It looks like.
Yeah, it's Mermaids Lament.
Plural
because
mermaids.
Because it's more than just about one person. So
the music is prominently credited on the poster.
We were able to get Lily Hayden, who is a Grammy Award-winning composer, involved in mentoring these young composers, Shara and Jessica, and they have come up with an amazing soundtrack. I really am big on sound and music. A lot of people say that image is so important in film. I think that you can have a mediocre image, a muddy image, image that's almost unreadable, but if the sound grabs you, if the dynamicism of the sound, if the depth of the sound is grabbing you, you will give a lot of room for the image to exist without being like Hollywood standards. So yeah, we spend a lot of time on the music. I think we began composing in September, and we just wrapped production on the music.
Well, and your last, I mean, it's been a while since your last, Strange Frame was your last feature film, at least, and that was basically a musical.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And this one doesn't have, it's just instrumental music, or are there songs as well?
There's one song, and that was composed by Imani Coppola back in the early 2000s, and it's in the middle of the movie.
We have some stills to share as well, which if you're just listening, obviously you can't hear them, but I'm going to put them all up at once. I guess you guys can see those.
Oh
yeah.
There's there's going to be a lot of underwater photography. I'm hoping that's the that picture.
Yeah.
I think that's like the picture of her, I'm assuming our putative mermaid rising from the waves.
Yes.
It's basically, from what we can tell from the cast list and the stills, pretty much a two-woman drama, right?
Yeah, it's a two-woman psychological drama steeped in magical realism.
There's the realism there with the band.
The older woman.
Do you guys know a movie called Man Facing Southeast, an Argentinian movie from the 80s?
I haven't seen it, but we have reviewed it on the site, and so I read the review and I knew it from that.
Yeah, so if you don't know it, I'll just, for the audience, it was a movie about a man who shows up at a psychiatric institute, and the doctors just think he's just another crazy person, but they can't figure out where he's from. And the man claims he's an alien sent to study humans. And through the relationship with his doctor, the doctor begins to believe him by the end. And yet the institution, the psychiatric hospital, wants to lobotomize him because he creates unrest among the other patients. And I thought that was such a fascinating thing. It was remade into a very milquetoast movie called K-Pax.
Yeah, Spacey and Bridges.
Yeah, that was just did not have the magic of the original. The original is very a magical kind of experience where you, as an audience member, you start out thinking, yeah, like, so just some crazy person showed up at the hospital. And then through the way that the actor who portrays the alien interacts with the other people and the course of events, you start to feel like this guy is otherworldly, kind of a man who fell to earth vibe. And so I kind of want to capture that kind of magic with this movie. Like, you don't know whether or not this woman is a mermaid. You do know some trauma happened to her. And the therapist at first just thinks this woman's delusional from the trauma. But the therapist has a lot of issues, and the mermaid, the woman who may or may not be a mermaid, helps her with her issues. And I'm not going to say anymore because I want to give away the plot. We basically, what happened was, I was getting ready to shoot a movie in Colombia that was financed to the tune of about $1 million. And it took me 2 years to raise that money. And then COVID hit and all the money went poof. And so we were looking down at COVID and like, oh my God, I was so geared up to make a movie. And I took an online workshop with Sean Baker. Do you know that director? Tangerine. Oh, yeah. So it was a very small workshop. Tangerine, Radium Chung, his cinematographer, was on there, and his producer were on there. And so they're like three like luminaries talking to us, 8 filmmakers, a very small thing. And he like talked to me directly, given your experience and what you have at your hands, just go out and make a movie. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for a budget. Don't sit on your hands. Just go out and make a movie. And that was in March of 2021. God, that whole COVID time, like, it's a blur.
3 years altogether.
So March, I got the idea, just the title, Mermaids Lament. I sat down with the actresses and some of my crew, and we just workshopped the script. and we were shooting by the end of May. And we shot over the summer and wrapped production mid-August, and I went into post for a year. So that was, it was 2021, I guess. And then 2022, I was all in post. And so it's 2023. Yeah. So I think that's how it went. Maybe it was 2020. Yeah, 20. Yeah, I can't, the old brain cannot do the math anymore. But yeah, so it was very, very quick to production. And very done bare bones as far as what we had access to. But what we did have access to is the ocean. And so we did spend some time filming in the ocean. We had a great experience where we put out a call to the mermaids around the island, and all these women who were into what's called mermaiding, like wearing tails and swimming, showed up, and they didn't even know each other before this event. And so it was great to have these 20 mermaids show up at the beach that day, and we get them all in the water for these big mermaid scenes that, you know, we're done with me on a breath hold. I had my main cinematographer underwater was on scuba, but I was just holding my breath, swimming down to him, going like this, like this. And so it was quite an experience making the movie. And then we took in that still in the upper left, we took her out in a wedding dress for a dream sequence, and filmed her on another day. And yeah, it's a visually grabbing movie. And like I said, we spent a lot of time on the music and the sound, and I'm very excited to have our world debut coming up. I don't know what else to say. I've rambled quite a bit.
That's enough. I did find it interesting. You mentioned the mermaids showed up. There is like a mermaid subculture out there that I just became aware of recently, of women who like to role play as mermaids, not sexually, but you know, they're into mermaids. So there's
mermaiding is huge. Mermaiding is huge. There are whole cons like Comic-Cons, but for mermaiding, it's exclusively. And the biggest one, I think, attracts about 12,000 mermaids. Wow. So this is a big thing. And you know, I mean, I have a lot of friends that cosplay, and I have a few friends that are mermaids. And this is in some ways also a love letter to them and to all people that kind of pick something else outside the norm to put their spiritual and creative energy into. Like I just see these cosplayers and mermaids, they put so much energy into their costumes and everything like that. And I love them for it. You know, it's like when you pick a passion, you pick something to invest your spiritual and your creative energy into it, you know, and you pick something like cosplay or mermaiding. I think that's such a beautiful thing to give to the world, you know. And I kind of like, in some ways, this movie gives back to them in a way, saying it's validating, you know, that it's okay to go out there and be a mermaid, you know. It's just like people like, okay, you know, be a banker, be a lawyer, be whatever, a doctor, you know, all these things that society said is good. But to me, go out there and fucking be a mermaid, be a Jedi, be something strange, you know, be a Wiccan. Go out there and make the world interesting for us all, you know.
Having been a lawyer, I can confirm that it's. I would prefer to have been a mermaid, I think.
Oh, that wasn't a long form cosplay for you, Greg?
Giles, do you have any questions?
Oh, no. It's the overview you gave certainly. I think. Well, I mean, I haven't seen the movie. No one really has, I believe, but. Yeah, it definitely sounds intriguing. And yeah, in regards to like the mermaiding and all that, obviously, I'm a big fan of some of the motivation for that potentially with life as performance art, because if you're going out and being interesting, obviously there are the elements for your own self as well. But as you said, for the benefits of everyone else out there to, you know, see that there are other ways to think and be, I'm all for that kind of behavior there. So yeah, I'm intrigued by this.
The trailer is out. We have a full trailer now out. We had to put a teaser out last year, and we put the full trailer out just about less than a month ago.
we're going to have one on the site. I am not certain whether it's the teaser that I found or
Yeah, I
the,
can't remember.
The one you showed me was about 2 minutes.
I think it might be the full trailer.
That's the full trailer then. Yeah, because the teaser's only less than a minute. Yeah.
I also have some other things I was going to share from GB, and I accidentally closed the window or screwed up my. I screwed up the
File share.
the sharing.
Screen share.
Screwed up the screen share, so I gotta get it back. So if you can see the picture now, right?
I only see the little tiny thing.
Yeah, I see your folder.
Yeah, file folder.
Oh,
Yeah.
you don't see it?
You're gonna have to click on it, I think. I'm not sure.
Here,
Let's see, there's mantas,
So many-
dolphins.
so many windows open. Let's see. Is that it?
Hey,
Yes, you got
Okay.
it. Yeah.
So GB has an Instagram, and also on his Facebook shares a lot of underwater photography, mostly videos. But we asked for some stills here because on Zoom we found the videos have some lag, and wanted to share some of these because I just think that they're super cool.
They are.
Thanks.
There's a video on his Instagram that's pinned to the top of the page where an octopus grabs the camera as he's being filmed.
Yeah, no, that was fun. That was fun. I put the camera down in front of the octopus, hoping that I'd get something, and yeah, the octopus delivered by dragging the camera and trying to pull it into his little hole.
Octopus
great.
mouth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm from upstate New York, and the only beach seaside I have ever really gone to was in southern Maine. And so when I'm showing pictures, first when I'm told that there are warm oceans, I don't believe it. And then when I'm showing pictures of, all kinds of different, shall we say, tropical looking things, it's like, oh, all right, well, as there's a photo there, I suppose it's probably real. But yeah, this is
Well, there's hope for you. I grew up in Connecticut, and Long Island Sound is where I swam, so I know about the cold too. But I can't do the cold anymore.
Yeah,
But I do. I get in the ocean about twice a week, and I bring various cameras. Nothing very high end because I'm going out there to play. And GoPros have made it very easy. I recently upgraded to a housing for my phone, and I used the Filmic app, which is what Sean Baker used on shooting Tangerine. And so I put my little phone, my Pro Max, which shoots 4K, in there with the Filmic app, and I can get some good depth control and play around with a little bit higher end tools when I'm down there without getting too involved, because I don't want to turn it into work. I just want to go out there and be with all the sea creatures and get my mind clear.
so this is just a hobby, not something you do professionally.
Yeah, I only do it as a hobby, but I was contacted by a producer friend of mine recently, and we're starting to lay the groundworks for a project where I will be going out with 360 VR equipment, doing the same thing I do, but with the end product of being a VR experience for veterans to use in their immersion therapy. A lot of veterans get in pools and bathtubs and stuff to relieve anxiety and pain, and they have to sit there for 20 minutes to an hour. And so we're going to give them underwater heads-up displays, like VR displays that they can put on, and then they can come snorkel with me, while they're doing their therapy. Yeah, so we're kind of excited. We're in the beginning of stages of this. We'll see how it goes. But it'd be fun to do and something good to do.
Yeah, I would think that there's a market for, because it's very specific. Underwater photography is sort of a very specific niche, and I've seen movies, cheap movies like there's one called She Gods of Shark Reef, where the whole production value of the movie, it's terrible Roger Corman movie.
Yeah.
Right. But the whole production value comes from the fact that they have this underwater footage in color.
Yeah.
That's really cool looking. So
yeah, the underwater world is still fairly new. And with my experience with Mermaids Lament, most of the time that you see Hollywood films, they're filming in a tank. Almost exclusively they film in a tank. And sometimes they're huge tanks. I know that James Cameron once used a decommissioned nuclear power plant as one of his tanks for one of his movies that he was working on. I think it was The Abyss. So they don't really go out in the ocean. And so for an independent filmmaker, we get to use a palette that Hollywood really doesn't have access to because of the way that they make movies. They couldn't do what we do because, I don't know, the liability or the size of their crew or whatever. They'd have to have 15 boats out there, and 15 boats, you're not going to get any sea life anywhere near you. Yeah, we can do things that they can't do. So it's kind of an exciting time to be a filmmaker with that skill set. And I'm hoping that we can do more.
Very cool. So we just have a few minutes remaining. Giles, you have a question, a final question?
Why, yes, Greg, I do. Having discussed and raised awareness of Mermaids Lament, I've got a question for our director guest. What's your hometown, and can you recommend a restaurant there?
The closest town to me is Hilo, and shout out to the Hilo Bay Cafe. It's got a really great menu, and if you go there, book a table around sunset because the sun sets across the bay over Mauna Kea, and it's a really beautiful place to have a meal. So I highly recommend it. And another spectacular one, just because I brought it up before really quickly. If you're up at the volcano, go to the Rim restaurant at Volcano House, and you can actually see the eruption while you eat dinner.
All right.
And they have good food too.
Well, that's just bonus, yeah.
I'm guessing a lot of seafood.
Yeah.
Rocks.
How long have you been living in Hawaii?
Yeah, well, we have a lot of 30 years now. It's most of my adult life. There's a lot of good food. We have a lot of seafood, but we are a very big island. We're the size of the state of Connecticut. We have the second largest privately owned cattle ranch here. I'm not a big fan of beef, but we have some of the best grass-fed beef in the world here. There's also tons of wild-crafted wild pig here. So for people who like those kinds of meats, there's some of the best in the world.
And I gotta say, when I visited Hawaii, the pineapple is much different than you can get in the United States.
Oh yeah, we have you can get the fresher pineapples because by the time you get to the United States, they like them gassed and all that stuff. But what we have here that you really can't find on the mainland is a white pineapple, and it's low acid and it tastes magnificent.
Yeah, highly recommend getting, if you're in Hawaii anywhere, get pineapple for sure. Well, that's going to do it. We're about running out of time. So thank you, GB Hajim, and everybody check out Mermaids Lament when it comes to festivals. I just want to say next week, Giles will be off, and my co-host will be Terry McSorley, and we'll have guest Eric Kirsten of Acidemic, and we're going to talk a lot about Jean Roland on that episode. And nothing planned after that, so Giles should be back. All right. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, it was a good chat.